Good morning. I'm Patrick Boylan, and you're not. Okay, no, that wasn't mine. That's Chevy Chase. But good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm Patrick Boylan. Thank you for joining me this morning. Happy New Year, everyone. We've had 2 weeks off for the Coffee Talks. I'm excited to be back and presenting to everyone. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's and all the days in between. We've had some activity going on during that period of time, and I've got some information I'd like to run through with you. As usual, I typically start off with what's been going on. I just want to note a few closings that have happened recently. Kara closed her deal over at Periwinkle. Ed Cadet closed his deal at Southwest 10th Street. Areli closed her deal at Osborne Drive. Danielle has her listing back on the market, 5603 Dewberry in West Palm Beach. This is really a nice 3-2. I think it's in Victoria Woods. It's listed for $302,000. Bring your buyers. We want multiple offers on this. We want this thing closed ASAP. So talk to Matt Weaver, get a great deal, and let's see if we can get something put together quickly and get this thing all wrapped up for Danielle. That would be wonderful. A little housekeeping note, since the end of the year was last week, I am right now closing the books for 2021, and I'm about to start producing the 1099s. I believe I should have them available sometime about the end of next week. I think next week's Coffee Talk, I will announce that they're available, and I will let each of you decide whether or not you want them mailed to you or if you'd prefer to pick them up from me. We can handle it either way, but I'll make an announcement once they're available, but I believe I should have them for you probably by the end of next week. I always like to talk about sponsorship. Again, it's a new year. Everyone needs to be thinking about the passive income portion of their business. This is one of the greatest tools that we've got available to us as exit realty agents. The ability to meet somebody and just say, hey, are you happy where you're at? It's pretty simple. If they're not, look, hey, just introduce them to me. That's all you have to do. If they like us, they'll join us. Great. You've now got somebody sponsored. I think they will like us. We've got a lot to offer here between our boot camp trainings and Coffee Talk every week, and the support that we provide to our agents, I think, is second to none in the industry. So these are the things we need to talk about with other agents while we're out working on transactions. So please keep this in mind, and let's see if we can build out that passive income portion of everyone's business, and let's get started on it right away. We do have a new leads program that we're working through the final details on, but I can tell you it's something that will rival Op City at a definitely lower cost. And it's really a great opportunity for someone to start building their business. The leads program, each agent will be able to sign up for a particular zip code or zip codes. Any of the leads that come into those zip codes will go directly to those agents. There is a fee for it. It is a at closing percentage of the lead, kind of the same way Op City works. But this is going to be another opportunity for agents who, maybe don't have enough leads or getting their wheel started and trying to get it turning. This is a great way that you can really make some money and get a lot more experience under your belt. And like I said, kind of get that wheel turning for your business so that you have a constant flow of transactions going. All right, let me get into my presentation here. One moment. Let me share my screen. Get the right one. And so I'm going to talk about really what's going on, kind of a market snapshot. And what are the projections for the upcoming year? Where did you go? Come here, you. That's the one I want. Okay, so let's start off by talking about what's going on with interest rates. I always report interest rates every week. Up until the 17th, I had reported that interest rates were essentially flat. They have ticked up somewhat in the few weeks that we've been off. And I'll get to the actual numbers that I have after we do this presentation. But looking at the average interest rates, this actually comes to us from Freddie Mac, where they're saying that mortgage rates so far, they've continued to move sideways. And if you're looking at the rate, you've got a rate of 3.11 as an average. And I'll quote Sam Cotter from Freddie Mac that mortgage rates have effectively been moving sideways despite the increase in new COVID cases. This is because economic data suggests that the economy remains on firm ground, particularly cyclical industries like manufacturing and housing. Moreover, low interest rates and high asset valuations continue to drive consumer spending. While we do expect to see rates rise, the push of the first-time home buyer demographic that's been propelling the purchase market will continue into 2022 and beyond. So what we're looking at is it is still a strong market. COVID cases aside, we're looking at an improving economy, and ultimately improving economies will start to push interest rates up. But I think they've been tamped down a little bit by this latest COVID surge. And that's why we're seeing the rates, they're not really escalating, but they seem, I'll show you here, my next slide. Here's what we're looking at for mortgage rates from January of 2020 to now. And you can see we're in an exceptionally low interest rate market. I've been reporting this week after week after week. We are in the low threes, even high twos in some cases. And if we're looking at average rates, when they say the average rates are moving sideways, this is kind of what it looks like on a graph. I put a little line to where they've just, over the last few weeks, they've just been flat. And they will continue that way until something changes with the economy, with COVID. And I think you can see that they were starting to move up as we were approaching the end of the year. And I think this last surge seems to have had a downward pressure on it. But rising interest rates are always a product of an improving economy. So if we look at what the experts are saying for the upcoming year, when you look at it, when you ask Freddie, Fannie, Mortgage Bankers Association, and NAR, where they expect interest rates to be over the next year, they're all reporting that over the next year, they see, end of this quarter by 3.3 and end of the year by about 3.7%. This is not etched in stone. Pardon me. Let me get my coffee talk mug on. These are not etched in stone. These are projections. Could they potentially push past this? Maybe. More than likely, they'll hit these numbers or they'll come in a little low. They don't. I know that the way the Fed is operating, they've been talking about raising interest rates, but nobody wants to upset the apple cart. Let's just say they want to see this economy continue to boom, and being over aggressive with interest rates could have that same effect. The reality is, interest rates typically have not had a dramatic effect on what goes on with home purchases. Historically, house prices and existing home sales have been resilient to mortgage rates. Now, if it went from 3% to 13%, you would definitely see an effect, but gradually rising interest rates really are, like I said, a product of a good economy. So as people start doing better, rates start going up, people can afford the slightly higher rates. That's the economics of interest rates. So, we think looking forward, it's going to, again, be a very attractive year for interest rates. 3.7% is still extremely low. It's higher than the 3.1 that we're currently at on average, but it's still extremely low. So these rates shouldn't have any real major effect on home purchases going forward. And that's what the chief economist from First American is saying here. Now, let's pivot a little bit. I want to talk about what's going on with foreclosures and forbearance. This has been a common topic for us week in and week out. So the report, this comes from Black Knight, that the monthly number of loans in active forbearance has dropped below 1 million. So if we kind of rewind a little bit, the middle of summer, end of summer, there was all the fear that as soon as the government ended the moratorium on foreclosures, that once that ended, that there was going to be some huge uptick in foreclosures and the like. And it hasn't proved out to happen at all. In fact, we continue to see the numbers drop and drop month after month, to the point now where December, you were looking at 890,000 homes in forbearance, the last step before foreclosure. So, with that number dropping, it's just not playing out the way a lot of the fear-based people were putting out into the media. And again, why do we even do these presentations every week is so that you can have the information to counteract the headlines that are put out there to really terrify people and not clarify what's going on in the world. Your job is to clarify for them. So when they hear things like said 6 months ago, foreclosures are going to go crazy. We've been talking about this for the last year, that foreclosures were not going to go crazy. Let's talk about what's been going on with the homes that entered forbearance and are now sitting where. So this is a cumulative forbearance exits for the period from June 1st to November 30th of this year. So from 2020, June of 2020 to the end of November this past year. So what we're looking at is 38.6 of those percent of those people who went into forbearance, they went out of forbearance. They made their monthly payments during the forbearance period. They paid off their loan, or they paid up on whatever they were past due. This is more than a third of those who entered it. Maybe they entered it because they were afraid of what was going on and they were being proactive. They were concerned that with the changes in the economy during the COVID, the beginnings of the pandemic. So they purposely put their house into forbearance to protect themselves, to set up a plan. Now, another 44% of those people that went into forbearance created workout plans, loan deferrals, or other repayment modifications and plans. So they were able to exit the forbearance. This is a full 4 out of 5. Actually, it's more than 4 out of 5 of the people who went into forbearance during this period exited forbearance. So now you still have a group, 17.4%, who haven't worked out a loss plan, or the very, very, very tiny percentage that may end up having to do short sales. The reality is we're not having a lot of forbearance. We're not having a lot of foreclosure because of equity. We talked about it in the past, where the average equity gain over the last year for the average homeowner was $56,000. If I was upside down in my house, I could understand somebody getting into a position where they have to do a short sale or a deed in lieu. But there's been so much equity gained over the last year or so that no one should be in a position where they're upside down in their house. And so this is the message we need to be getting across to that 17%. If we happen to know anyone in that position, we need to let them know, look, the smartest thing for you to do may be to cash out of that house, take care of the problem once and for all, and now move into something, maybe move into rental, maybe, find something less expensive that you might be able to work with. But this is a very small number as compared to what everyone was afraid was going to be happening once the moratorium was lifted in the middle of this past year. So just one more note on that we may see a little bit of an uptick in foreclosure rates in 2022, but just an uptick from an extraordinarily low level. We're not expecting to see a big increase. We expect delinquency rates overall on home mortgages to actually continue to remain quite low. And this comes from CoreLogic, and this really backs up what we've been seeing. Rates for foreclosure and forbearance are extremely low. And again, why? Equity. People have equity. They don't have to go into forbearance. They can sell their home and make money and leave and move on. So these are the things we need to be remembering. But again, with rates this low, there's really only one direction that they can possibly go. So if rates do start to tick up, it's easy to remember to tell somebody says, well, it looks like that foreclosure thing is coming. There is no foreclosure boom. The people who are potentially waiting for all these foreclosures to hit to buy a house, they're probably going to need to come up with a new plan, because this one isn't going to work for them. They just are not going to have the opportunities that they think they may have had coming, because they remember 2008 and 9. The situations could not be more different. So, with that, let's move on to what people are projecting as far as demand and pricing for the upcoming year. So this headline comes from Showing Time. Impressive year-over-year demand seen across the U.S. as holiday home showing traffic heats up. So typically, showings traditionally lag during the holiday season, but the data we're seeing tells us that buyer demand remains strong. The fact that every region showed year over year increases indicates that buyers are undeterred by the approaching holidays, and it speaks to their desire to keep searching for their next home. Buyers are out there. The showing time is one of the best sources for information as far as if people are looking at homes. If agents are showing, then it's reflected in showing time. And so this statistic is one that's fantastic. If you can look here at the South, that we're included in the South on average, showings are up 13% over a year from last year. Obviously redundant. So the demand is strong, and we expect the demand to remain strong. There are no factors telling us that the demand is going to suddenly slow down, that there are so many people, first-time home buyers, this whole huge population bubble of millennials have suddenly decided that home ownership is their thing. Great. That means they're all looking to buy. They don't want to rent anymore. They don't want to live in an efficiency downtown by where they work. They now want to get a house with a backyard and a little home office. That tends to be the trend that we've been seeing, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. So that is their projection for the upcoming year. Let's talk a little bit about home prices. So this actually comes from NAR, where they have 24 individual experts and their projections on what home price appreciation for the upcoming year will be. The mean in this is 5.7%. I will tell you 5.7% is slightly above what you would consider average. And from what we've been seeing, it seems as though more and more the projections are moving past the 5.7 into the 6 or 7s or 8s. Yeah, obviously nobody knows truly what's going to happen with pricing, but because of demand, we expect to see price appreciation in excess of 5.7% over the upcoming year. Again, this is good news for homeowners and people potentially deciding to list their homes. Now, here, this is from the chief economist at First American. Increasing home price appreciation may encourage existing homeowners to use that equity to purchase a larger and more attractive home, a dynamic known as the wealth effect of rising equity. And it's already happening to some extent. So this is the message that we, again, need to be making sure we're getting out to our potential sellers, the homeowners, that, hey, you might be in that position that you could take advantage of a lot of equity in your home and choose to downsize or choose to move up into that next level of home, or I hate to say relocate, but you get a lot of it, people selling up north and coming down here. And this is part of that. As they're seeing an increase in their equity, it does make for a great time for them to consider selling their homes. So overall, I think 2022 will be another strong year. And we do think home sales will continue to rise and actually reach a 16-year high in 2022. Again, this comes from McClare Bolton Smith, the senior lead researcher at CoreLogic. So this is what we believe is going to be happening over the next year. This is the message that we need to be sending to all of our customers. My slideshow, as usual, is always available. I can forward that to you. You can use it to create your own social media posts, or even use it in making presentations to any potential buyers or sellers. So having this information handy really is it's designed to differentiate you from any other realtor. You're the knowledge broker. It's this type of information that you have makes you stand out from other agents. So let's move on to the next piece. I always review interest rates. And again, we discussed it here in my presentation, but in looking at, here's my disclosure. These are 0 points, lowest advertised rates on bankrate.com, 20% down, 740 credit score. Again, I already said 0 points. The current rates on a 30-year, the best I could find was 3.249. And the best on a 15 is 2.374. So now the last time I reported these was about 3 weeks ago. I was at 2.874 and 2.114 respectively for the 30 and the 15 year. Over that extended period of time, we've seen the 15-year tick up slightly at 0.25%, and we've seen the 30-year tick up about 0.3%. So It sounds like it went up more the 30-year just because you went from 2.8 up to 3.2, but really it was, 3/8 of a point, 3.375 increase. So it wasn't a substantial increase. And as I said, we're going to see them probably start to tick up over the remainder of this upcoming year, but there will be ebbs and flows with it, as there always will, and I will report it to you here every Friday. A couple quick things on education. Tuesday, the RAPB is doing a 3CE as is class, going through the as is contract, making sure you understand it, and you get 3 credit hours for this class. They're also holding this week next week, their Flex MLS classes and their Matrix classes. These are all done via webinar, so you don't have to go into the RAPB to take these classes. So things to be checking out on their web. Couple more that they had that I thought were really interesting. Wednesday, there is a new Home Source Pro webinar from 3 to 4. What this will teach you is how to effectively use the new Home Source Pro website to create your own branded marketing so you can promote new homes, new neighborhoods, new product, and drive that business to you. So you're promoting for them, but it's coming to you. I mean, there's always a bit of a challenge where you go out and say, hey, go check out the Fields or go check out Westlake. And you're afraid that your customer is just going to go, okay, I'm going to go check out Westlake. It's like, no. You need to take me with you. So this is new Home Source Pro is designed for agents like us to be able to create marketing and drive business to us that then we can take out to any of the new home developments. So I think this 1-hour webinar on Wednesday from the RAPB sounds like a fantastic opportunity for everyone. Thursday, they are having 2 classes. One's called Contract to Close, which is all about the title process. And then Keep It Legal is another one they have running on Thursday. So regarding the contract to close, this is my opportunity to announce that next week, Tuesday, I emailed and I texted everyone on this. Next week, Tuesday, we will be holding an in-person office meeting, 10 a.m. Tuesday. And I have Nicole Marangelli from Infinity Home Title, who will be coming in presenting. And she will do her normal presentation. She's got bagels and coffee coming too. So, hey, come on in, get something to eat. But most importantly, bring your title questions. Write them down in advance if you have to, whatever. Get some questions put together. We've got an excellent person to be able to ask these questions to and get some really good answers to the little nagging things that you always wondered about with title or an issue you may have had in the past and how it was handled and how they handle it. So these are things to think about for our upcoming in-office meeting next week, Tuesday at 10 a.m. Again, I'll remind everyone on Monday, but I emailed everyone yesterday and I'm telling everyone now, be here at our meeting. It'll be valuable for you. And oh yeah, there's also going to be coffee and bagels. Exit International Wednesday is going to be holding an agent webinar regarding marketing at noon. I didn't write down the name of it. It's marketing. It's an hour-long webinar provided by Exit. They provide great webinars. And again, I like people to catch them live, but if you can't, all the webinars they produce are in their webinar library. So you can write from your Realty Connect app on your phone, sitting in a parking lot, waiting for an appointment, just finished the last appointment, whatever. You're able to sit down and watch a video and fill that time with something valuable. Again, it's on my notes twice. In-person office meeting, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Nicole Marangelli, coffee, bagels. More do I need to say? And then lastly, next week, Friday, be sure to join me at 9 a.m. for Coffee Talk, where I will hopefully answer all the questions that your customers will be asking you, so you have the answers in advance. Thank you for joining me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Office is back on normal hours. I'm here to help. So if you need anything, just let me know. Thanks.